All right, the Tisas B45 duty size, full size, 45 ACP. We're going to run, it's brand new. I'm going to run a few magazines through it. I'll run some brass jacket FMJ. I'll run some defensive hollow points, Remington Golden Saber, 230 grain. They're all 230 grain. And steel jacketed wolf, 230 grain. And we'll see how it functions. I'm going to take my mic off and set it down because it's going to be pretty loud. Remember, we're just looking for function here right now. Wolf, 230 grain, steel jacket. Eyes and ears. All right, let's do that Remington. Let's do the brass case, 230 grain. All right, last, these are all Wilson Combat 8-round ETM magazines, by the way. Remington Golden Saber, 230 grains. Tisas B45 duty. Like a champ. Now let's go back inside desktop and discuss it a little bit more. All right, that short video clip was only to show you how well the brand new Tisas B45 duty runs with a small mix of ammo and without any sort of break-in period. Now, I bought this gun just a few weeks ago from Bud's Gun Shop for under $450. All right, and I immediately ran 50 rounds of standard brass case FMJ through it, you know, just to check for function and combat accuracy. Not looking for pinpoint accuracy. I'm looking for combat accuracy. And the 24 rounds that I just fired in that video clip, that all comes to a combined 74 rounds in total fired through this gun so far. Now, granted, that's not nearly enough to test the long-term reliability of it, but I think we're off to a great start. When I received the gun, I found it to be completely saturated with gun oil. Now, that's really not an unusual thing. Manufacturers have no idea how long a gun might sit on a shelf in a dealer stockroom, so, you know, corrosion protection is a high priority. Anyway, I disassembled it and wiped all the oil off of it and out of it completely. Then I ran the 50 rounds through it, and it functioned flawlessly. So I cleaned it and put it up again until just now. Now, you might recall that a couple of videos ago, I did a kind of a quick review of my new Tisas full-size stakeout model. All right, remember the stakeout model. Now, I had planned to feature that stakeout model in a couple more tests, but circumstances came about and changed that. And as it turned out, I wound up giving that stakeout model to a family member as their first 1911. And I replaced that with this one, the Tisas Duty B45 full size. Now, the stakeout was a phenomenal 1911, you know, for the short duration that I had it, and I had no problems at all with it, except for that hard, heavy trigger. The Duty B45 is basically the same 1911, but it just has a few more minor features that work better for me, and with a much better trigger. This model also comes equipped with a very nice set of double diamond rubber grips, which I've always liked and used. Now trust me, if your hands are wet or bloody, especially, you'll be glad those cheap rubber grips are there. Now the box that it comes in also contains a set of plastic GI type grips. Now what really sold me on this model are the no snag or the snagless Novak style sights, which is what I'm more accustomed to using. Now most semi-autos carried by cops had these types of sights, except of course for the Glocks. Additionally, this model has the trigger guard undercut right here, which for me is a very useful feature because my hands are a little smaller than average, I think. There is only one thing about this model that initially turned me off. For a long time, I have held off on buying any type of 1911 with an ambi thumb safety. In fact, I don't like ambi anything. I view it as just clutter, and I don't like clutter on my guns. Now, yeah, I know why people say they like ambi controls, and that's fine, but for my own personal guns that are for my own personal use, I don't want that crap, Nobody else will be shooting these guns but me, so I'm not at all concerned with accommodating other people. Now, if you know what you're doing, the ambi safety issue on a Tisas can be fixed simply by removing it and replacing it with a Tisas OEM standard single thumb safety. And you can do that without having to replace the hammer or sear pins. Currently though, for now, I'm going to leave it just as is, since the right side paddle here is just slightly more narrow than the left paddle over here. So it's not too much of an intrusion, and it doesn't seem to interfere with anything. So far anyway. So I just feel that I should give it a fair evaluation so that I can arrive at a clear and logical conclusion one way or the other. So far it's not that bad. I don't mind it. Alright, so at this point, there's no real need in doing any sort of a full-blown tabletop review of this Duty B45, since most of the specs and info is the same as that on the stakeout model that I reviewed earlier. If you want specific technical details, go back and watch that video, because it's basically the same. Now, this 1911 came with 2 8-round blued magazines, and I believe I have them here. Yeah. Oh. It came with 2 of these 8-round blued magazines with a steel follower. It's a chrome steel. Now, I have no idea who the manufacturer is, but these magazines appear to be high quality. They load to capacity very easily. The function is extremely smooth, and they've worked flawlessly so far. My very first shots with this 1911 here was, as I said, 50 rounds of 230 grain FMJ from Georgia Arms. Now, that ammo was at least 4 years old. I used 2 Wilson Combat ETM magazines, 2 Metgar magazines, and the 2 magazines supplied with the gun. All magazines performed exceptionally well in every respect. Now, the rubber grips they will aid in a tight grip, you know, and that prevents, or should prevent, the habit that I see a lot of re-gripping after each shot, which is something you should not be doing anyway. And I'll demonstrate what I'm talking about here. They'll take a shot, and then you'll see them re-grip. Take a shot, re-grip. Take a shot, re-grip. If you have to continue to re-grip it, then you're gripping it wrong to begin with. You should have one firm, solid grip and keep that grip if it's working. That's where practice comes in. And also, I find it easier with these to get a more firm grip when using these rubber grips, which, you know, in my case is necessary because I have lost so much grip strength recently. And that's evidenced by the earlier video clip of me firing this gun you see up there. You can tell I can't grip it very well. But that's my fault, it's not the gun's fault. I just don't have that strength. Now, although both the front and rear sights are windage adjustable, this one didn't need it. It's pretty much balls on accurate. Of course, the Novak sights are in a 3-dot configuration. And normally I black out the rear dots because I'm not fond of the 3-dot system. But I have yet to do that here. It doesn't seem to bother me for some weird reason. But, you know, I haven't shot it enough to really know. Another little feature that's normally found only on higher end 1911s is the bobbed and chamfered or cratered slide stop cross pin. Now, I'm not sure of the purpose of doing that, but it does eliminate that protruding pin, which kind of also cleans up the lines of the pistol really nice too. Now, the one gripe or complaint that I have is the outside edges of the trigger guard undercut. These this edge right here, outside edge right here, and the outside edge right there. All right, that's sharp enough to cut flesh. All right, that should have been radiused or melted prior to the application of the finish. I just wish they'd have done that, because you can feel it when you go in on it. You can feel it right there. Now, I did find out from Tisas USA a few interesting notes that you may find helpful. All right, let's talk about finishes here. All right. I see from a lot of comments and other videos that most people really have no idea what type of coating or finishes are applied to these 1911s. I see a lot of guesses posed as authoritative answers, but most are incorrect. So why don't we go ahead and clear this up? On the carbon steel 1911 models, such as this one right here, we have a black Cerakote finish. It's a finish over a manganese phosphate coating. Now, manganese phosphate is also known as parkerization. So it's parkerized first, then it's Cerakoted finish over that. All right. Phosphate coatings are commonly used to pre-treat steel prior to the application of the final finish to increase corrosion resistance, to add lubricity, and to further guard against any chances of galling. Now, the aluminum alloy models, some of the compact lightweight models, have Cerakote over hard cast anodized. All right, now the Cerakote used on the gray 1911 models, such as the U.S. Army, is H210. The black 1911 models use H146 Cerakote. The Night Stalker models use H337. Now, of course, this information is useless to most of us, but if you were to have your 1911 refinished or otherwise need to apply another layer for whatever reason, that information is needed to ensure consistency. And so as we close this video out, let me leave you with some other Tisas 1911 facts that you may not know. Tisas uses either 42 CRM04 forged carbon steel or 420A forged stainless steel for the frames and slide. Tisas 1911 spring weights are: the Duty 45 recoil spring is a 16-pound recoil spring. The 9mm version of this, the recoil spring, is 14 pounds. It's a 14-pound spring. And the 10mm version uses a 23-pound recoil spring. Now the main spring, or the hammer spring some may call it, used on all Tisas 1911 models is the typical standard 23-pound spring. Alright, here's another one. Tisas 1911s are rated for plus P ammo. They are rated for plus P. Another one. After November 2022, Tisas uses no plastic parts and no cast or MEM parts. All parts are steel and are machined, except for the recoil plug. Right here, the recoil plug. Now, not even Colt can claim that. Now, while most quality standard 1911 magazines usually work just fine, Tisas highly recommends Metgar, Wilson Combat, Ed Brown, Chip McCormick, and Brownells magazines for the best results. So I personally think that the Tisas line of 1911s are great. And no, I'm not going to say, well, it's a great gun for the money, or it's a great gun for the price point. Remember, price doesn't guarantee quality. Price point. That's an overused term uttered by gullible and fragile amateurs and 13-year-old girls. Price point. What the hell is that? Tisas makes a great 1911, whether it sells for $350 or $1,000. And quite frankly, it's built better than some of the popular $1,000 1911s on the market right now, since all parts on a Tisas are machined steel, none are MEM or cast. You know, a 1911 or any other handgun is either great or it's not, and cost is not a factor in that decision. Performance is. If the handgun is good enough for a beginner, it should be good enough for a professional, and the reverse is just as true. Don't confuse cost with performance. They are not always connected. So that's just a little discussion regarding Tisas 1911s and the 1911 B45 Duty model in particular, which is my personal favorite so far. It's my opinion that a Tisas 1911 is a 1911 that is well worth investing in, whether you are a 1911 novice, a 1911 veteran, a 1911 competitor, or just a casual target plinker. Okay, well, I hope you got something helpful from this video. That's always my mission. I suppose it's fair to say that I'm on a 1911 kick at the moment, so I do have plans for a couple more 1911 related videos coming up, but bear with me. I'll have other topics to cover, no doubt. Okay, well, thanks for watching. I'm Antonius, and I'll be with you on the next Shooting It Straight video. Ciao.